इन दिनों बरतानिया भर में लोकल बॉडीज़ के इलेक्शन की मुहिम ज़ोर शोर पर है और इसी सिलसिले में बर्मिंघम में एडेंटन के हलके से लेबर पार्टी की किंग स्टैंडिंग वार्ड से दो कैंडिडेट डेस हॉगिस और नाज रशीद की इलेक्शन कैंपेन को कवर करने के लिए हमारी टीम ने विज़िट किया, जहां पर मुख्तलिफ लोगों ने अपने ख्यालात का इज़हार किया जो इदारों से हैं, जो खिदमत के जज्बे से सरशार आगे बढ़े हुए। कौंसलर वार्ड लीडर ऑफ द बर्मिंघम सिटी काउंसिल, मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट पॉलेट हैम्पटन टॉम मैकनेल, असिस्टेंट पुलिस कमिश्नर लैन ओकले, किंग स्टैंडिंग फूड बैंक की इंचार्ज और यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ वार्क से उस्मान हमीद और लेंडा हंस MBE ने वहाँ पर खिताब किया। आइए सुनते हैं कि उन हजरात का इस मौके पर क्या कहना था, उन्हीं की आवाज़ में सुनते हैं।
We also have first-year university students from Bristol, Warwick, Devonport, Leicester, Aston and Birmingham University and Imperial College. We are honoured to have Councillor Ian Lodge, the leader of Birmingham City Council, with us, young Labour. I would like to ask Ian Lodge to come to the stage and say a few words.
In a first world nation, in this country, PCC has been running a scheme whereby they are employing resources from the rich in our children in the future. And if we win the election on May the 5th, we will build to do more in this space in the years to come. If you read our manifesto, which is called A New Deal for Birmingham, it's a new deal as we emerge from the pandemic, you will see set out in that document how under the age of 30. We need to commit ourselves to do everything we can to support those young generations in the years to come.
And arts and all sorts of really good, positive things. So let's keep that in mind. There's lots to be happy and excited about. But of course, it would be embarrassing not to pretend that there isn't a serious crime issue. We've already had reference to youth violence. Right here in the neighbourhood, we know about that. We know how serious it is. It's an absolute tragedy. We've also got serious domestic abuse happening in way too many homes. It's not a new thing, but it's certainly not gone away. And it's a bit of a crisis, actually. And we have the issue of exempt accommodation. There are lots of serious crime issues. Now, it is really important that people feel safe, and people who commit crime are held to account. So never, ever do I try and undermine accountability. People need to be held to account. Cuts to mental health services, cuts to schools and insufficient support for special educational needs, poor mental health, poor children's services, underfunding basically across the board, including drug treatment, everything that prevents crime. And the Conservative government have been the architects of this failure. And there's a direct relationship between their cuts to everything that we know successfully prevents crime and a rise in crime and youth violence. So let's not let them get away with that. But yes, there's all this negativity and yes, there's this harsh reality, but we're actually generating solutions ourselves in this city. The announcement from the leader of Birmingham City Council and the fact that you're rightly highlighting it now today, it's about the youth services investment of the £1 million. It's just fantastic. It's such great news. That was a choice you made to invest. There's so many competing priorities that you said we need to stop this crisis. Absolutely brilliant. I also happen to know that you're really prioritising strategically early intervention and early support. I know there's people here who work with families going through deep, difficult circumstances, who need help, not aggressive punitive action. And children's services and children's centres have been closed right across the city due to the government. But I know that Birmingham City Council has put that as a major priority, so that's fantastic as well. Our contribution from the Police and Crime Commissioner's Office, we're using the little resource we have to really prioritise on preventative activities, get young people into education, into skills and jobs, but also recognising they've got mental health challenges as well. So it's not just about saying, come on, pull your socks up, work harder. It's about recognising the difficult circumstances they have. And then for the bit I said before, about making sure people are held to account, it's not about ignoring crime and letting it happen, which is why Simon Foster, the elected Police and Crime Commissioner, is committed to an extra 450 police officers back in the community, not to take a heavy-handed approach, but to build relationships with lots of the people here doing proper community work, as we have people on site. Build relationships, problem solve our way out of it. So, yes, there's problems, but there's loads to be optimistic about. And I'm really confident that when you win the election, with our help, that you're going to really work with us and everybody else here to really make sure that we prevent crime. Much more optimistic about it.
Perry Common has undergone a huge redevelopment, and with that came antisocial behaviour. So I set up Perry Common Community Watch about 12 years ago now, where residents patrol the streets, and we had young people out with us. As long as they were 16 and over, they were out with us. I've learned how, I hope, to talk with young people as equals, and not down to them. And that sounds really patronising. It's not. I had to learn that. So thank you. So about 10 years ago, I started to work at Sutton Police Station, along with some more community members who actually we're their critical friend. So we know the data in the last month, and also
Milton MP for Erdington, Colette.
The Erdington constituency, because that's what I'm here to talk about, was about crime and antisocial behaviour. As the new MP in the area, we can't do this in isolation. We have to work with all the partners, with local residents and with the councillors if we are going to drive change. In areas like Kingstanding, we haven't even got a youth centre. Young people have nothing to do, so they're at the edge of crime, and we have no way at this moment in time of preventing them going into crime. In areas such as Stockland Green, we have county line issues that we're facing at the moment. We have drug and alcohol issues with our young people. This is a city where we have nearly 70% of the population, and I may have got that wrong, but I think I'm right, that are under the age of 30. It's a young city. Those young people in the future will be the people that are standing where I'm standing. They will be the people that will run this city. So we need to look after them so they are not going into crime. They're not being killed. They are not being persecuted when they're trying to come home from school. So we can't do it on our own. Myself as the MP, it doesn't matter how I try to legislate, it won't work if we don't have the police and crime commission, the council, local groups, powerful people in the city working together to affect change. I want us to work with our young people, but what I also want to see is our young people helping us to lead some of this change, because they're the ones, I'd love to say, you've heard me say this before, I'd love to be 21 again. I am 22, but it's somebody who's a tad younger who will be able to tell me what they want to see happen. So it cannot just happen with me standing there saying, I want ABC. We have to work with our young people through the schools. Intervention is key. The council have absolutely gone in that direction. If you don't intervene early, you can't affect change, but it cannot just work if the council are doing it. You have to have all the other partners driving that change through early intervention. So I'd like to thank Naz, I'd like to thank Des. They've run a brilliant campaign, but they're not finished yet. They have a long way to go to get over that line. We have a government that absolutely is shooting themselves in the foot. Ian has talked about some of the nonsense that's going on at the moment. But can I say to you, it still won't change people at the doors if we don't knock those doors and tell them. Because many people do not totally understand what is happening. They don't totally understand some of what is happening, what that effect will be. This lady has been running a food bank. I have gone to the food bank in Castlevale. I'm afraid I've not come to your food bank yet, but they have seen a 50% increase in the amount of people needing food. During my campaign, we campaigned about, is it about eating, H-E-A-T-I-N-G, or eating, E-A-T-I-N-G. We're now starting to see the reality of this. And by October, that will go up. The bills are going up by 50% of what they are today. Even myself, when I don't need the light on at home or the electricity, I say to the children, switch it off. And I can afford to pay the bills. So imagine a young mother who has got 3 children, 4 children, no husband. They're clocking for their gas and electricity, which is far more expensive, and they can't eat. I was listening to a story yesterday of a young mother who has got 4 children, and she could not afford a meal. What she would do is, when the children have eaten, anything that they've got left on the plate, that's what she was eating. That's people's reality in this city. I've got people in my bag that comes to me, my emails. They're saying to me, I'm getting £213 a month for my benefits, and my electric and gas bills are £279. What do I do? That is the reality. So unless we work with our young people to try and change what is happening to them in the future and get rid of this government, we will not get the change that we absolutely want. Birmingham City Council, the PCC, they have committed, Simon Foster has committed to 450 extra officers in this city. That means Erdington will see some of these officers. He's also committed to building a new police station in Erdington. That has been commitments he's absolutely made, and Tom will confirm that. Ian over in the Birmingham City Council, they have committed £1 million. It's the first time in years we've been able to give back to youth service. What I'm saying is we have to use this wisely, but it's not a lot of money. We have a long way to go, and this is why partnership working is key if we are going to drive change. Continue knocking those doors, continue working hard. Naz and Des will make fantastic councillors in this area, and I will be there as their local MP, as they already know, to drive what they're trying to do. Because you know something, if they get it right at a local level, it means that I can do what I've been elected to do, and that's to fight on a policy level. Whereas at the moment, over 80% of the casework I'm getting, because there is no work going on in this area by the opposition, is council work. It's work that could be done by local councillors that would commit to this area and work for this area. So I am asking you this morning, please assist them, go out, knock doors, make a difference.
Wow, I don't know how I'm going to follow that, but I'll try. I've been a volunteer with the Kingstanding Food Bank, which is run from the by Elim Life Church just round the corner. It's been running for well over 10 years now, and I've been working with the volunteers for the last 10 years, and I can honestly say I've had my mind opened to people's lives. We've dealt with hundreds coming through the food bank that I've actually, as I do a reception work, I have had to ask the people what their, the reason for coming, just to get some statistics. And so I am aware of the difficulties that families face. And I was hoping after 2 or 3 years...
who has a very inspirational story, and he wants to share his story with us. Usman?
Hi everyone, my name is Usman Hamid. Louder. Hi everyone, my name is Usman Hamid. I'm a first generation migrant along with my parents. So my parents came to this country from Nigeria. The secondary school that I went to was one of the most deprived in the UK, and the area I live in was one of the most deprived in the UK as well. So I grew up with around a lot of crime, a lot of violence, a lot of antisocial behaviour. A lot of the people that I grew up in secondary school, unfortunately is to say that 2 of them are no longer with us today, and that's due to knife crime. One of them was coming back from a mosque where he got attacked by 2 teenagers, and these teenagers, they were younger than him. imagine that 2 teenagers stabbed someone that were younger than him. The reason they did that was because of the opportunities they had growing up. I refuse to believe kids are born violent. I refuse to believe that. I believe the opportunities that they had and the environment they grew up in affected them. And I was really pleased to hear that Labour are going to commit 1 million to youth centres. Because me personally, I went to a youth centre. For 4 years of my life, I went to a youth centre. It was the most fun I ever had. I literally enjoyed. I loved it. So the youth centre I went to, the people I used to go there with, I'm not proud to say I used to do some antisocial behaviour myself. And the people I used to go to youth centre with, when I came back to university recently, I see them outside the barbershop, just standing. They're doing more than standing, but you know, I won't go into details of what they're doing. And I just think about how we used to go to the centre, play games, talk, have fun, go to Chippy afterwards. We used to play sports. These people had dreams, they had aspirations. Some of these people want to be footballers, others want to be dancers. I don't think he's even dances anymore. I don't think he even dances at all. But it just goes to show that how youth centres can create opportunities for people, give them hobbies, more skills, and just take them off the streets. Because if you don't give these people anywhere else to go, you're gonna find their own place in life. Unfortunately, which is gonna be the streets. I mentioned I'll go to Warwick University. I study management history these days. I study a lot of history because I want to go into politics myself. Because to think about it, the reason why all the youth centres got cut, which is a really big thing to me, was because of Tory funding. They removed the funding away from the youth. Like I mentioned, my parents were first-generation migrants. So what kind of son would I be if I went to go die for a postcode that they don't even own? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Usman, for sharing.